Okay, so here is May 6th in the final distance learning packet. Okay, so we're continuing our practice with probability and statistics and scatter plots. So before we looked at some review of what that means and different correlations or different associations, and we even talked about lines of best fit. So we're going to kind of put all that together and build our own scatter plot and then make some predictions based off of our data. So we need to first graph these points that are given in that table and then draw a line of best fit and then make a conjecture or a prediction based off of that. So let's graph it first. So we have time is our x-axis, balloons are the y-axis. So at time 10, we have 3 balloons. So a point right below the 4. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be enough to see if there's a correlation or a trend. Okay, at 20 minutes, there's 12 balloons. At 30, there's 15. And at 40, there's 16. And 50, 21. Okay, so again, we need a line that will represent this data, and we want it to go through the points. Doesn't have to, we're not drawing a line like this. Okay, it's not a line. So we're not connecting the points again. Just as a reminder, we want a line that goes through the points. It can touch some of them. It doesn't have to though. And something like that. Okay, again, mine might be just slightly different than yours, and that's fine. But at home, you can use a toothpick, a piece of uncooked spaghetti, something thin that is straight that you can see both sides of. Okay, honestly, I would move this up a little bit, but it kind of wasn't letting me do that. So I would go about like that. That's a little bit better. A ruler is fine, but you can't see underneath of the ruler, so you can't tell if the line is in between the points. Again, we want to try to make it so that there's the same number of points above it as there are below it. Okay, so we have our line. So part A was just construct. That means put the points on the graph and then draw a line. And then B says to use that line to predict the number of balloons that they will have blown up at the end of 70 minutes. So time 70. Okay, so we follow that up until we get to the line that we drew. And then we go to the y-axis. Okay, trying to be as careful as possible. And it is somewhere between 28 and 32. Halfway would be exactly 30, but it's a little bit more than half, so I'm going to say 31. So our answer then, so just use the wording from the question, at the end of 70 minutes, she will have, so I'm taking all the words that were given. She will have blown up, and use words like about or approximately because we don't know. Right? Scatter plots, we make a guess, but we really don't know the exact number unless we just waited 20 more minutes to get the actual amount. So we're making a guess here. So she will have blown up about, what do we say, 31, about 31 balloons. Okay, so that's it. All right, the next one, the graph is done for us, and the line is drawn. And this time, we're going to write an equation, and we can use the equation to make our prediction. So let's see if our equation will end up matching what the graph shows us. So sometimes the graph isn't big enough to show the point that we're looking for. So then an equation will allow us to find any point along that line of best fit, even if it's not on the graph. All right, so this is just going back to what we have done many, many times. Here's our equation form, slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. So we need our starting point, our b, our y-intercept, which is 90. And then slope, remember, when we're looking at a graph, we're looking for the rise over run. So we need 2 points to do that. Now, be careful. It's not 2 points from the scatter plot. Okay, it's not those. It's 2 points on the line of best fit. So I'm going to choose, here's one right here. We don't have to use that though. It's one of our scatter plot points, but I'm going to make my own. So there's one and here's one. Okay, and I see that I have to go down, so I know my slope's going to be negative. Okay, so that means this is a negative correlation. So it's just like the slope. If it's a negative slope, it's a negative correlation or negative association. It's decreasing, unlike the first one that we did, which was increasing. Okay, so rise. So from 50, so we're not counting boxes here. We're not going 1, 2, 3. We're going from 50 to 20, so that's 30. And then over from 4 to 7, so over 3. Okay, so slope is rise was down 30, so negative 30 over 3. And we can simplify that. And that would be negative 10. Okay, or it's just a division. So negative 30 divided by 3 is negative 10. All right, so we put this together in our equation. We have y equals an m, which was negative 10, and then x, and then plus 90. So that's it for the first one. And then we use that equation to figure out how many books, what do we have here? Oh, we're selling comic books. So how many books will he have left at the 7th day? So let's just look at the graph first. Okay, so it is on here. So day 7, we follow this up, and then we go to our line. We go over to the y-axis, and we see that there's 20 books left. So that's the answer. Okay, so for this problem, we could have just looked at the graph, but let's see if we can use this equation to find the same number. So we already know the answer, which is helpful when checking our work. So when I'm doing the equation, I'm going to take the number that we are given here. So 7, this is 7, and it's days. So this is the x-axis. So instead of x in our equation, I'm going to put 7. Okay, and then everything else stays the same. Okay, so negative 10 times 70 is negative 70 plus 90. So if you need a calculator, do it. But really what we're doing here is 90 minus 70, which is 20. So y equals 20. Okay, so then our answer, though, let me get rid of this. We need to write this. So he, right? Oh, no, Sydney, she. But it says he. Okay. So he will have, I use the word about because we're not for sure, about 20 comic books at the end of the 7th day. Running out of space. Okay, so again, just using the words from the question statement. All right. So again, these are very short days. So this is it for days 6 or May 6th. All right, so these are really cool. And I'm just going to give you a couple hints to start off, but I want you to really think about how we can figure out the values of each of these different shapes. Okay, so I'm not going to give away too much, but let's take a look at the first one. So this is a balance. So it's a string, okay, and it's balanced. You can see that the string is connected right in the middle of that bar, okay? So this means that whatever is on the left, so let's think of it as like weight, so like grams or pounds or something. And whatever's on the left, it balances out this stuff on the right. Okay, so just think about that for a second. So that whatever's on the left balances on the right. And everything totaled is 24. So let's just say grams. So this whole thing weighs 24 grams, and there's two sides that are equal. Okay? So we are given that the heart is 2, and then we need to find the other shapes. Okay, so let's think about this. So if there's two sides and they're equal because they're balanced, and the total is 24, what does that mean about each side? It's 12 and 12, right? Because 12 and 12 add up to 24. Okay, so on the left side, we already know that there's two hearts, and each of those is 2. So what does that mean about the square? How much would the square have to be so that this total thing is 12? Okay, so think about it, right? What do we get? Okay, 8. Let's just make sure. So we have 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Okay, so that works. And then that we can put, it's the same square on the right, so we put an 8 there. So what does that say about the moon shape? So 8 plus what will give us 12. Okay, and that's going to be 4. And then all of this put together should equal our 24. So just make sure. So add all this together. So we have 2 plus 8, which is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 8 on the right side, which is 20, and then plus the 4, 24. Okay, and that's it. All right, so this is a fairly simple one, but they will get more difficult as the days go on. All right, so that's it.